No, Your Honor.
No, Your
Okay.
Honor.
Then with that, Mr. McKeska, would you please begin the announcements?
Thank you, Judge Drake McKeska, attorney for the department. Mr. Minen.
Blaine Minen, permanency specialist with Belong.
Ashley Crouch, permanency supervisor with Belong.
Cecilia Howrung on behalf of the mother. Maria, could you please announce?
Maria Rosenthal, the mother.
Deborah Ryan, Hill Country CASA volunteer, guardian ad litem for the child.
Lucinda Mance, the attorney for the father, Brent Johnston. Mr. Johnston, if you could announce.
I'm present, Your Father, Your Honor.
Maureen Yanis, attorney ad litem for the child.
Amy Harding, Hill Country CASA supervisor.
We're here for a status hearing and looking at Mr. Minen's report. The child, Alexandria, is 11 months old. She's in a foster home in Kerr County, correct? Mr. Minen?
Correct.
Yes, she is.
All right. And do you believe that that placement is safe and appropriate, meeting her needs?
Yes, it is at this time.
It's in her best interest to continue in that placement?
For now, we have got the results of that expedited home study that was ordered. I was able to contact the subject of the home study, Kenitha Johnston, and let her know to send me a copy of her lease. If that lease does not have her ex-boyfriend's name on it, we will be approving that home study.
What's the deal with the ex-boyfriend? Just concerns?
He had an RTB from about 10 years ago. It was just for spanking. So we needed to make sure that his name was not on the lease anymore and that he was not residing at the residence.
He had an RTB for spanking?
Yes.
Is there anything else in his history?
No.
Okay. Looks like Alexandra is up to date on everything.
Yes, we have had trouble finding her immunization records. We checked MTRAC and Health Passport, but no luck. So our next step would be contacting her pediatrician.
But she's pending a dental, correct?
Yes, she is.
Is there a reason to believe that she hasn't had her immunizations or just can't find the record?
To my knowledge, we just can't find the record.
Okay. There's no Indian child heritage in this suit, correct?
No.
Are the parents cooperating with you?
Yes, they are.
And is the child in the least restricted placement possible?
Yes.
Were you able to hold a family group conference?
Yes, we were able to complete a family group conference with Maria Rosenthal, present virtually from her inpatient facility. We did have a family group conference for Brent Johnston scheduled that same day. He did not attend and it was rescheduled. And then he did not attend the rescheduled meeting either. A family plan was created with him and I went over the gist of what his services would be with him. But he has not had the chance to participate in creating those services or sign the family plan yet.
But the mother participated virtually. Has she signed and or reviewed hers and signed it yet?
She has not yet.
Has she been able to review it at all?
I have not provided her with a copy yet, no.
Okay. What was the father's reason for missing both of the FGCs?
For the first FGC, he stated that he had a doctor's appointment scheduled at the same time and was not able to miss that doctor's appointment. And for the second FGC, he stated that the person that was supposed to give him a ride to the FGC did not show up.
Have you filed those plans?
Yes, they have been filed.
Do you believe that the plans are narrowly tailored to address the concerns that brought the child in the care of the department?
Yes, I do.
Do you believe that the family plans of service are in the best interest of the child?
Yes, I do.
Are you asking the court to adopt and approve them as orders today?
Yes, I am.
Have you had a chance to discuss the mother's plan with her in detail?
I have not personally had the chance to discuss it with her after her FGC, but it is my understanding that her attorney was able to review that with her.
After you created Mr. Johnston's plan, did you discuss it with him in detail?
I have not had the chance to go over the official family plan of service with him, but I did let him know about the services that would be included with it when I met him after he missed his FGC.
As of today, is it safe to return the child to either parent?
No.
As of today, has either parent fully addressed the concerns that brought the child into care?
No, they have not fully addressed those concerns.
Are you asking that the court continue this child in the temporary conservatorship of the Department of Belong?
Yes, I am.
Mr. McKeska, do you have questions for Mr. Minan?
No, Your Honor.
Ms. Halron?
Yes. Mr. Minen, you did not file the family service plan until late yesterday, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. So you have not had an opportunity to call Ms. Rosenthal to talk to her about the service plan?
No, not yet.
Why not?
It was by the time we finished up yesterday, it was after 5 p.m.
Okay. So since it wasn't filed until late, I was not able to reach out to her about it. Do you plan to do that today?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Now, we also talked to the family group conference about visits. It's my understanding she has a virtual visit today. Is that correct?
Yes, she does.
Okay. Are you going to be supervising that visit?
Our admin, Stephanie Chandler, will be supervising that.
Okay. But so you are planning to separately contact Ms. Rosenthal today to go through her service plan, correct?
Yes, that will be outside of the virtual visit that she has with her daughter today.
Okay. Now you're aware that she is currently inpatient at Serenity House, correct?
Yes, I am.
Okay. You're also aware that they are looking to provide her supportive housing once she gets out at a sober house, correct?
That is my understanding, yes.
Okay. Other than the drug treatment, what are the other services you're asking her to work?
I'm asking her to work on resource management and basic needs. We would like to see her obtain stable housing and employment and let Belong know about her status in those things. Going back to the substance use as well, obviously we would like to see her complete her inpatient services and comply with random drug testing. If she were to test positive, we would want her to complete an OSAR evaluation and follow any recommendations that come with that. And we would also like to see her participate in services related to coping skills and mental health. We would like to see her complete a psychological evaluation, as well as a psychosocial assessment, and follow any recommendations that the therapist makes with that, and engage in individual therapy.
Okay. Now the psychosocial and the therapy is going to be provided through drug court, correct?
Yes, it is.
So it's not going to be provided through Belong, correct?
Yes, if we are able to communicate with her therapist and get regular notes and progress updates from the therapist she sees through drug court, that will suffice for the services with coping skills and mental health.
Have you contacted the drug court to let them know that you are asking for that information?
I have contacted her parole officer in the past and let her know that communication would be necessary with these services, but I have not directly contacted the drug court to officially ask them for those updates yet.
Could you possibly do that?
Yes, I can.
Okay. So she is actively involved in the criminal drug court, which is why she's at Serenity House, correct?
Yes.
And the counseling, the drug treatment, and all of the drug testing are all being done as well through the drug court, correct?
Yes, they are.
Okay. So if there is a cooperative relationship, that those services can also serve this case, correct?
Yes, they can.
Okay. Nothing further.
Vance?
Yes. When was Dad's plan filed?
It was filed yesterday as well.
What time, if you can recall?
I would have to go back and look to get an exact time for you.
Well, my real question is, was the BIP program included in that plan?
A BIP program was not included in that plan. As far as the domestic violence that we would be requesting, we believe that it could be addressed in individual therapy. And if parties agree that that is not sufficient enough for Mr. Johnson, that we would request him to be in a more intensive education for domestic violence.
And did Mr. Johnston provide the documentation to you that when he was charged with domestic violence, it was actually dismissed?
I believe he did, yes, but I would need to go check to be sure.
So what specific services are outlined in his plan?
In Mr. Johnston's plan, it includes resource management as well, showing that he can provide stable housing and employment and letting Belong know about those services. Included in his plan as well is parenting skills. We want to see his ability to be an effective parent. So he has been referred for that as well. Also in his plan is substance use to comply with random drug testing. And if he were to test positive for any substance, he would complete a drug and alcohol assessment and follow any recommendations that are made with that. We also have recommended a psychological evaluation for him.
Completed the psychological evaluation already.
Mr. Johnston, you can't speak while somebody else is testifying, okay?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so we've referred him for a psychological evaluation and request that he follows any recommendations that go with that. We have also referred him to a therapist to complete a psychosocial assessment and follow any recommendations by the therapist and participate in individual therapy if it is recommended. And as we discussed earlier, for the intimate partner violence, that it could be discussed in individual therapy and addressed there. But if a more intensive education was needed, then a referral for a BIP class could come down the road.
But the BIP class, any reference to it has been taken out of the plan.
Yes.
And have you been over it with the dad?
I've not been over the plan exactly. I just let him know about the services that would be included in it.
Have you provided a copy to him?
Not yet.
And do you think you can do that and meet with him to go over it in the next week?
Yes, I will be in Kerrville tomorrow if he is free.
And regarding the child, she has a birthday tomorrow?
Yes, she does.
And will Belong assist in allowing the parents a virtual visit?
So tomorrow, the plan is, we discussed it at the family group conference that Mrs. Rosenthal would have an in-person visit with her daughter. She'll be transported by Elisa Smith of Mercy Gate Ministries to Abilene to the inpatient that Maria is at for a 4-hour in-person visit. She will be transported back as well that same day. As far as a virtual visit with Mr. Johnston, I would have to talk to my supervisors to see if we could set up something for him that same day.
And if he has completed a psychological, will that meet your criteria for that portion of the service plan?
For the coping skills and mental health portion, we would need to see the recommendations that are made with that psychological evaluation and follow up on those. But also for the coping skills and mental health part, we are referring him to complete a psychosocial assessment too.
Regarding the home study, how is Tanitha related to the child?
Kanitha is the child's biological aunt.
Mother or father's side?
Father's side.
And you believe that the ex-boyfriend's not living in the apartment, correct?
I would need to see the lease that she could provide. Until I see that, I am not sure.
And what has she stated about having broken up with this man?
She has stated that he does not live there anymore. In her home study that was done, she declined to talk about it much.
And do you have any reason to believe that he's actually living there?
Like I said, I would need to see the lease first. I have not personally seen the house, so I would need to see the documents that are provided.
So do you believe that his name on the lease would prove that he's living there?
I think that would be an important factor in deciding if he lived there or not. There's no way I can be sure if he's actually living there.
And there's been nothing on his record in the last 10 years.
To my knowledge, the only thing on his record was the RTB for the spanking that occurred about 10 years ago.
All right, thank you. I'll pass, Judge.
Giannis.
Thank you, Judge. Mr. Minen, Alexandra has a doctor's appointment on the 22nd, and it would be pretty important to get her immunization record. Do you think you will be able to have that information by day after tomorrow?
I don't see any issues in getting that immunization record while she's at the doctor.
Okay, and how soon do you think we'll be able, well, let me back up. Have you asked Kenesha to get that lease to you ASAP?
Yes, I have.
And what was her response?
She has not responded yet. I'm still waiting on that.
Okay, thank you. I'll pass.
Any follow-up, Mr. McCaskill?
No, Judge.
Any other witnesses?
Not from the department, Judge.
Anybody else have any other witnesses?
Yes, Judge, I want to call Mr. Johnson just briefly.
All right, go ahead.
Mr. Johnson, state your full name for the record.
All right, Carlton Johnston.
Regarding the service plan, do you feel comfortable with the services listed by your caseworker?
I've already obliged in starting the services for my caseworker, everything but the BIT program that they've asked me to do.
All right, so is that a yes? You agree with the service plan?
Yes, ma'am.
And would you like a virtual visit with your child tomorrow?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you want your child placed with your sister?
It would be my sister and my mother because they're both on the lease. So it's actually the biological grandmother and the biological aunt.
All right, thank you. I'll pass, Judge.
Any cross?
No, Your Honor, I just wanted to briefly call my client to ask about the immunizations as well.
Go ahead.
Ms. Rosenthal, can you please state your name?
Maria Rachel Rosenthal.
Okay. Has Alexandra had her immunizations?
Yes, she had them up until she was 6 months. I provided all the documentation to Ashley when she asked me to, and she made copies of everything and returned the originals to me.
Okay. Could you, when you speak with Mr. Minen, please provide that information to him as well?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. There has been an approved home study pending confirmation about the lease. Do you want your child placed with the paternal aunt and grandmother?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Nothing further, Your Honor. Thank you.
Ms. Giannis, what are your thoughts?
About
The child and
the child. Oh, the child. Well, Judge, she's doing well where she is. I'm concerned now that we know she is behind on her immunizations. I don't know why we didn't know this before. But we've got issues with daycare if she's not up to date. I'm glad everybody's now got the same information. We can move forward with that. As far as placement with Kenesha, let's figure it out. I mean, Alexandra's having, although she's been in this placement for, 6 weeks, she's still having adjustment issues. And I'm hoping that we can work out whatever it is that is required of Kenesha to get her placed with her. I don't know. I think it's important to have a lease in her name and show that the boyfriend is not an occupant, an approved occupant on that lease. But we're looking at perhaps notice given by the foster family because they have been asked to take some children that they fostered before, and they will be at a limit according to their agency. And so we're looking at maybe a 30-day notice. So I agree that the child should be placed with family, but let's run through the steps. But other than that, this placement has been meeting all of her needs, Judge. She's got real sensitive skin. They've gotten her through a double ear infection, a yeast infection, diaper rashes continuously, and we suspect that she has eczema. She's got an appointment on the 22nd, and they're going to inquire about what that dry skin could possibly mean for the child. But they're doing a great job with her, and I have no concerns about this placement.
Your Honor, if I may, I'm just going to go ahead and ask for placement. Per testimony, the concerns with the boyfriend are relatively minor, 10 years ago spanking. I understand they want him off the lease, but both the paternal aunt and grandmother live there. There could be an order that he not be alone with the child if he's in the home, but if, he's not in the home, I think that works as well. But I think that the home study is complete, I would ask for placement.
And if I'm understanding correctly, that was the sole concern of the home study, correct?
Yes, sir.
Judge, I think there was another concern, and I'm trying to find it. I think the concern was that it wasn't just a spanking. I mean, he left bruises on this child. But I think also the refusal of Kanisha to discuss the relationship. It was just a flag of some sort being raised.
Awesome.
And they did just effectively break up on the 1st of December.
Well, Ms. Hellrung has asked for placement. So what is your response to that, Ms. Yanis? I mean, I heard you say you want to figure it out.
Well, if the recommendation in the home study is show us a lease with your name on it, she needs to do that. It's very simple.
All right. Ms. Ryan?
Yes, thank you, Your Honor. CASA does have some concerns about transferring out Alexandra to another home. She's had a very unstable life for her short little life. And as stated, she's getting very good care. She's getting very well taken care of. She's recently, just last week, been placed in a new daycare because the other one, they weren't happy with it. So she's at Zion now, and I understand they become very highly recommended, but that's another change for Alexandra. We're concerned about, the home study and the results of that situation because she is in a very confirmed safe environment now. As far as the additional children to the foster home, the foster family is in a process of getting licensed for 3 children. Pardon me. That was my information as of 2 weeks ago, and I have not gotten an update, but I can do that. But they are in the process of getting that license. One of the main things that hasn't been mentioned here is there hasn't been a completed paternity test on behalf of the father yet. So we don't have confirmation of paternity yet. And so that is a concern also of CASA. But Goldie and I've discussed it and at the meeting last week, and we really don't feel like Alexandra needs to be moved. The mother, when she gets out of her treatment, she's going to a home where she's going to be with a couple that she has been with when she was at the ranch, and they're going to take her in, and they will be able to accommodate Alexandra being with her at some point in time. So hopefully, of course, we're hoping the mother can with that carrot in front of her, so to speak, take care of herself and do what needs to be done to be reunited with her child. So that's our position as of right now, Judge.
Okay, thank you.
Can I speak, Your Honor?
You haven't had a chance to talk to your attorney, and I'm out of time on this hearing. So,
Maria, we can talk offline.
All right.
my name is protection. So you want to talk to your attorney before you speak out in open court, okay? For the purposes of the status hearing, court finds there's no any child heritage in this case. Trial is up to date on the medical and vision and is pending a dental. I'm going to order Belong to find those immunization records to figure out what's going on there. And, whatever the situation is, we need to know if she's behind and get that concern addressed. So that's an order of the court. Court will find the parents are cooperating with the department or Belong and that the current placement is safe and appropriate, meeting the child's needs, and in the best interest to continue at this time. I'll take that up again in a moment. The court finds the parties were able to hold a family group conference. And well, let me back up. The child is, court heard no evidence that the child is suffering any delays at this time, and that is overall in good health. Court finds that the parties were able to hold a family group conference with the mother, and that the parties attempted to hold a family group conference with Mr. Johnston. However, he did not attend on either occasion. Court finds that the mother participated in creation of her family plan of service. However, she has not reviewed or signed it. Court finds that the father was not able to participate in the creation of his family plan of service, although he was given the opportunity to participate. Court will find the plans were filed yesterday, December the 19th in the afternoon. So I'm going to make an order today. I understand Mr. Johnson testified that he is comfortable with his, but I'm going to give the parties the opportunity to go over the plans with their clients and to discuss any concerns that they may have before the court signs the status order. And I want that to occur within the next 7 days. So I'm not going to make any findings as to whether or not the family plans of service are narrowly tailored or in the best interest of the child, because I don't know that they are yet until I receive an update from the parties. So you're all ordered to update Ms. Greenlee within that 7 days regarding your agreement to the plan or any concerns that you have. Court finds that as of today, neither parent has fully addressed the concerns that brought the child into the care of Belong in the department, and that as of today, it's not safe to return the child to either parent. Regarding this placement issue and expedited home study, I'm hearing differences of opinion on whether or not the child is going to be able to stay in this placement. So at the very minimum, I'm going to order that this RTB with this boyfriend and this lease issue be squared away. So we need to look into the RTB. If there needs to be more information on that, then we need to do that, and it needs to be shared with all the parties. And then the lease, if this Miss Johnston wants placement, it's Kenitha Johnston, right?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir.
If they want placement, then we've got to get the DNA issue resolved, because we have a DNA issue, as Miss Ryan pointed out, and we're not 100% sure that Mr. Johnston is the father. And we're asking to place with relatives that may or may not be biological relatives, with a potential issue on a home study. So I'm not comfortable doing placement today. However, if he is the father, and the only thing we have is an RTV from 10 years ago for somebody that doesn't even live in the house and is not in a relationship anymore, that is not a bar to me to placing with family. So we need to get this issue figured out. That needs to be front and center in this case right now. Outside of what the parents are getting, the services they're getting, I need to know, and I need an update ASAP what's going on with this situation. We had a long discussion in a training I was in back in October about what courts can do in situations like this to get around these bars to placing with family, and finding out whether or not they're actual bars or if we're just not working hard enough. So that's what I want to know. So part of the burden is on Miss Johnston to get her lease to Mr. Minen. That's on her. It's not his responsibility to go digging around in her house to figure out where it is. She needs to get the lease to him. We need to find out if his boyfriend's on it. And then part of the burden is on Belong to make sure that everybody has all the information that they need regarding this boyfriend and this RTB from 10 years ago. Because I'm not feeling like everybody has it all. And then once you've all done that, then if we need to come back in front of the court to get it figured out, we can. If you all can agree on it, then that's fine. We don't have to come back to court. But if there's any disagreement on whether or not these children should be moved once these issues, or this child should be moved once these issues are resolved, then I want to know about it. Our next hearing is going to be April the 3rd, 2024 at 10 a.m. It's April 3rd, 2024 at 10 a.m. That'll be our initial permanency hearing. That's a long time from now. And I do not want to come back a long time from now and find out that we've still got an issue with placement, or we've still got an issue with DNA. So we need to get that done. I have to admonish the parents. The state of Texas gives parents in CPS cases 12 months to demonstrate that you can provide a safe, stable, violence and drug-free home for your child. If you cannot do so, your rights to your child are subject to restriction and or termination. Mr. McKeska, is there anything I failed to address?
Just a pretrial scheduling order and discovery control plan, Judge.
Thank you. Those will be distributed. So please look at those. The pretrial scheduling order and the discovery control plan contain dates and times of future hearings as well as deadlines on discovery. You need to review those and make sure you understand what they are and then sign as appropriate. Thank you all for your time and your service on this case, Ms. Rosenthal. We're really glad to hear that you're in recovery.
Thank you.
Congratulations on that. Please keep on that road.
Yes,
And if there's nothing further, all parties are excused.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Your
you,
Honor.
Judge.
Ms. Harris is not here either.
Judge, I believe Ms. Harris has been dismissed since her client was ruled out as the father.
Okay, that's right, Mr. Rondell. Okay.
Yes, Judge Drake McKeska, attorney for the department. I believe Ms. Nix is now the assigned caseworker.
Permanency specialist with Belong.
Your announcement was cut off. Could you do it again, Miss?
Yeah, sorry. Shelley Nix, permanency specialist with Belong.
Ashley Crouch, permanency supervisor with Belong, and Miss Harrison Bader will be testifying today.
Richard Sullivan, attorney for the child, ready?
Deborah Fuller, attorney for the mother. Nicole Gonzalez. Ms. Gonzalez, can you announce? Where'd she go? Well, she was there.
It's under Jones SL. What's the jail? If there's anybody there from the Comal County Jail that can hear me, would you please turn on the video and unmute?
Kristen Weber Casa, guardian ad litem for Cassius.
Amy Harding, Hill Country Casa supervisor. April Harrison Bader, permanency supervisor with Belong.
We're here for an initial permanency hearing. And Harrison Bader's report states that Cassius is 6 months old, placed in a foster home in Kendall County. Is that still the case?
Yes,
And is that placement safe and appropriate, meeting his needs?
it is.
Is it in his best interest to remain there at this time?
Yes.
No equal in this case.
No.
Ms. Gonzalez is communicating with you and Mr. Doogie is not.
That is correct, yes.
And you've made attempts to reach out to him in person and by phone, and you're not getting any response from him.
That is correct. We actually don't have a current phone number for him. The only phone number we have is for his mother. He was released from jail to her address. I made contact with her one time. She's no longer communicating with us. We've made multiple attempts to see him at the address that we have for him. And nobody answers generally whenever we go to the house. One time someone did answer and said he was not there.
Permanency goal at this time is family reunification.
Correct.
And it looks like Cassius is up to date, but he had RSV and is just kind of dealing with that. Heart murmur, but nothing too serious.
Correct. I believe the last time I spoke with the foster parents about it, they just said that it was something that at following appointments would need to be looked at. And I believe in 6 months after that initial appointment, they would check in on it, but they said that it didn't appear to be a serious concern at this time.
Okay. And the only medication is for the acid reflux.
I actually believe recently I was told he's no longer on any medication.
That's correct, Your Honor. I visited recently and he has been taken off of the reflux medications.
How long has Miss Gonzalez been incarcerated?
I believe her incarceration began on September 10th or 11th.
our status hearing was August the 23rd. Did she have any visits between then and her incarceration?
No, she did not.
So you haven't been able to observe her with the child at all?
No, sir.
Okay. When was the last time you tested her? Did you test her before she was incarcerated?
She during the time between the last court hearing and her incarceration, she was not in communication with us and did not drug test.
So neither parent is in compliance with their family plan of service?
Correct.
Do you know how long Miss Gonzalez is going to be incarcerated? Is there any projection at all?
So, the last time that I spoke with her, she said that she believed she would be able to get out on a PR bond from Comal County sometime this month, and that she would then need to report to Kennedy County to serve a little bit of time there before she would be able to get a PR bond there. But her belief at the time was that she would be completely out of jail sometime this month or next month.
Have you discussed with her that her incarceration is not an excuse or any kind of extension of time for her as far as working her plan?
Yes, I have discussed with her the obstacle that creates. We did try to find service providers that could work with her while she was in jail, as well as finding our own materials to send her. Unfortunately, I wasn't really able to find anything that would have been appropriate for her circumstances. I did find a book that was provided to Miss Nix to seek approval from her attorney. That was very recently. I don't know if that has begun. I do know that Ms. Gonzalez has conferred with her attorney regarding her plan once she is released from jail. One positive thing is that she does appear to be sober. I think that is definitely a good thing for her. She does seem motivated at this time to get directly into her services as soon as she is released from jail. That's what we have for her.
Okay. What about Mr. Doogie? If he were to get in touch with you, what does he need to do in order to get into compliance?
So he would need to take a psychological evaluation, begin therapy, begin parenting courses. He would also need to submit for a drug test. And if it came out positive, he would then need to, he would be referred for an OSAR to determine whether or not he would need treatment and what type of treatment. That's where we are with him.
So as of today, it's not safe to return the child to either parent.
No, Your Honor.
Neither parent has addressed the concerns that brought Cassius into care.
No, Your Honor.
You're asking that he remain in the temporary management conservatorship of the department?
Yes.
And belong?
Yes.
Okay. Mr. McKeska, questions for Ms. Harrison Bader?
None, Your Honor.
Ms. Fuller?
Ms. Harrison Bader, you just testified that you haven't seen her with her child. You have seen her with her child. She did have a visit, didn't she?
I believe the question was since the last hearing. Prior to the last hearing, I did observe her with a child, yes.
Okay, so I heard, have you seen her with the child? And you said no. So you also testified that you couldn't find anything appropriate to send her. Isn't it true, Ms. Harrison Bader, that you told me that you sent her documents, but they came back?
That is correct. I did.
So which is it?
Documents.
Did you not find anything appropriate, or did you actually send her something?
I did send her documents along with her family plan. It was not anything that would have been considered serviceable. It was really more information. But as far as something that would have
I'm going to object to non-responsive. Ms. Bader, the question was, did you send her anything?
Yes, I did.
Okay. And didn't you just testify that you couldn't find anything appropriate to send her?
Yes.
Okay. In regards to the services, she's been incarcerated for over 90 days. isn't it true that she won't qualify now for inpatient substance abuse treatment?
I do believe so, yes.
So will the plan be changed to for outpatient?
Yes.
And everything else on the plan for housing, counseling, psychological, those are still in the plan, correct?
That is correct.
And did you make any efforts whatsoever to set up any services at the jail?
Yes, I did.
Okay. Did you try to set up a psychological?
I did, yes.
And what happened?
I was told that they did not service clients that were in the Comal County Jail.
The provider said they didn't service them, or the jail?
I'm sorry, the service providers.
Okay. Did you talk to any counselor about providing a service while she was incarcerated?
I did not speak directly with any therapist, no.
Okay. And in regards to the other services, how soon will they be able to be set up once she's released?
The last time that I spoke with Ms. Gonzalez, I did ask that we be informed immediately when she is released so that we would be able to immediately get her set up. Service referrals were sent out and they are still active, but as soon as she is out, we would ensure that any referrals that need to be updated are updated so that she could begin those services immediately.
And in your report, you said that the plan is fictive kin relative adoption. Who is this relative or fictive kin that you're referring to?
Are you referring to our secondary goal?
The concurrent goal. Yes.
The concurrent goal. So we don't have any specific person. However, if we do end up having to go with that concurrent goal, we would speak with Ms. Gonzalez as well as Mr. Doogie to determine if there was anybody that they would have preference for. And then we would follow along our general guidelines as far as finding family. Okay.
And this is, I guess, for my own benefit. On your report, you listed, I think 30 people that you sent letters to. Did you have any discussions with anybody if they were actually even related, since we've had situations where the wrong people were sent letters? Did you talk to anybody to see if they were related?
I have not made contact myself. Generally, the letters that we send out are asking people to reach out and contact us if they have an interest in the child.
Okay. My question was, did you talk to either parent or anyone in regards to these 30 people that you sent letters to on whether they were actually related at all? Instead of sending information about a child in care and asking if they'd be willing to adopt a child if they're not even related?
No, I have not spoken with either of them.
And you're aware that, maybe not, but Miss Gonzalez, Vanessa Gonzalez, and Mario Gonzalez their parental rights were terminated. They were Nicole's parents, biological parents.
Correct.
And so you sent letters to them seeing if they would adopt her child when their rights were terminated?
No, and that's not what the letters contain. To my knowledge, I'm not the person who sends them out personally, but the letters that I have seen do not ask if somebody is wanting to adopt a child in care. It is notifying them that a child has been removed from their home within policy guidelines that we are provided by the department.
Okay. And can you please send me a copy of one of those letters?
I can have our admin send those to you, as I believe she's the one that would have sent those out.
Okay. And you feel that Cassius is in a good placement at this time, correct?
Absolutely.
They're taking care of all of his needs.
Yes, they are. He's doing very well.
And they're very willing and open to work with Miss Gonzalez when she's out of incarceration to ensure that she has continued contact.
Yes, they are.
Okay. I'll pass the witness.
Well, Mr. Weatherby's not here. So, Mr. Salazar, it's to you.
Yes, does Cassius need anything at this time?
Not that I am aware of.
Okay, and there's no concerns with the current placement, is that correct?
There are no concerns.
And would you agree with me that both parents pretty much are at square one regarding services in this case?
Yes.
Okay, and throughout this case, how many visits has the mother had with the child?
She has had One, I believe. She may have had one immediately after the removal, but she had one that I supervised.
Okay. And do you believe at this time that the mother's bonded at all with this child?
I don't know that I have an answer for that.
Yeah, I would object. That calls for speculation on her part. She's seen her one time with the child.
Well, she said she couldn't answer anyway, so it's sustained.
I'll move on, Judge. As far as any family, there's no family currently considered for placement. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay. Pass the witness, Judge. Thank you.
Any other witnesses or testimony?
No, Judge.
No, Your Honor.
Anything you want to add, Mr. Salvador?
Judge Cassius is doing great in his placement. He's thriving. I have no concerns. I ask that placement continue, Judge. I just want to, as you heard in testimony, Judge, I don't think the parents have made any progress in the services. At the beginning of this case, we all agreed to move Cassius closer so that mom can create that bond with him. That hasn't happened, Judge. We're already halfway through the case. I'd ask that you set the next hearing as a dual setting since we have no progress from either parent.
And of course, Your Honor, I'd be objecting to that. My client has 1 year to be able to have her child placed back with her. She's incarcerated, but she hopefully will be getting out soon. So to ask that the next setting be a termination trial is ridiculous.
Casa, I've read the report, Miss Weber, and it looks like you're recommending things remain the same as far as placement. Anything else that you want to add?
Your Honor, I just want to add that the foster parents have also provided me with updates so I can share them with my client. I really think this placement has been very good for Cassius. He's gained weight. He's done extremely well there. And they have been very helpful in providing me photos and updates for my client.
Thank you, Ms. Fuller. I'm glad to hear that. Ms. Weber?
Yes, Casa is in complete agreement that he should stay with his foster parents at this time. They are wonderful people. He's doing great. I've seen him and he's happy and responsive and plays. He's doing well, and we definitely think he should stay with the Quinns.
Thank you. All right, for the purposes of the initial permanency hearing, court finds that the permanency goal at this time of family reunification is in the best interest of the child. Court finds there's no Indian child heritage in this case. Court finds that the placement of the child is safe and appropriate in meeting Cassius's needs and in his best interest to continue in that placement. Court finds that he's up to date on his medical, dental, and vision, and that his heart issues, his RSV, things like that are being appropriately addressed. It sounds like he's not on any medication and overall doing really well. So I'm glad to hear that, especially if he's gaining weight. And strike the dental part. He's not old enough for a dental. It's just his medical. His vision are up to date. Court finds that no visits have occurred between the child and either parent since the last hearing, and that the mother is incarcerated at this time and the father is not cooperating or communicating with the department in any way. Neither parent is in compliance with their family plan of service at this time, and it's not safe to return the child to either parent today, and neither parent has fully addressed the concerns that brought the child into the care of Belong. Court's also going to make a finding based on Ms. Harrison Bader's testimony that the mother, Ms. Nicole Gonzalez, did not submit to the drug test this court ordered to be done by 5 o'clock on Friday after our last hearing. Court finds that it's in the best interest of the child to remain in the temporary management conservatorship of the department and Belong. Our next hearing is March 13th, 2024 at 9:30. It's March 13th, 2024 at 9:30. Yeah, I'm listening to Mr. Saldivar's request and Ms. Fuller's response, and there has been no progress in this case. She does have a year. But what I don't know, what we can tell me at this point in time, is how long she's going to be incarcerated. Mom says that she's going to be getting out hopefully within the next few months. Might get a PR bond, but We don't know. So I've got a dad who is evading, from what I'm understanding, and mom who's incarcerated, and we don't know how long she's going to be there. And a mom who, before she was incarcerated, wasn't following my orders. So while I hope that Miss Gonzalez does get out and does get involved in her service plan and does stay sober, I have concerns. If I set the next hearing as a dual setting, it doesn't mean we have to have a termination trial that day.
Your Honor, I will be out of the country on that day, so
Well, and Judge, I would also be opposed to the dual setting if we set it prior to the 9-month period of the child being in care. That does foreclose the department's ability to seek termination on certain grounds. And so I would like to be able to have all the grounds that I've pled available to me whenever the trial does eventually come around on the court's docket.
Judge, and given the department's position on that, I mean, I wouldn't want to take any termination grounds off the table at that point. So I withdraw my request, Judge.
It's just short of 9 months looking at it. So that would take a ground off the table. So in that sense, it would not be appropriate to grant that request. If you withdraw it, then it's withdrawn. But it brings up a very good point, Ms. Gonzalez, is if you get out and you don't hit the ground running, that's not showing me a whole lot. If you get out, I had somebody in here yesterday, in court yesterday, in a Medina case, who did all the legwork herself. The caseworker came in and testified that this person set up her own inpatient rehab, got her own services referred, because she wants to be clean so bad so that she can get reunified with her daughter. It can be done. So if you're not doing it, that's on you. Yes, you might have an addiction issue. Yes, you might have a substance abuse issue. Yes, you might have trauma that has put you in that situation. But all the resources are here, and all the people are willing to help you to get through that. And I've seen other people in your situation and worse take the initiative and do it themselves and get it done. So if you're released soon and you don't hit the ground running and you're not blowing up Miss Harrison Bader's phone and Miss Fuller's phone and whoever else is willing to help you, then you're squandering the opportunity and you can't point the finger at anybody else. Did I already admonish you, or did I already give the admonishment? I don't think I did. The state of Texas gives parents in CPS cases 12 months to demonstrate that you can provide a safe, stable, violence, and drug-free home for your child. We just talked about how the next setting is not even 9 months into it. If you can't demonstrate that within 12 months, then your rights to your child are subject to restriction or termination. So, like I said, the second you get out, you need to hit the ground running. All right. Thank you all for your time and your service. If nothing further, all parties are excused. Good luck, ma'am. No problem. I have an order that we signed for dismissing conservatorship and extending jurisdiction on this case back in July. She turned 18. She turned 18 May 30th of 23. And then I signed an order in July dismissing conservatorship and extending jurisdiction.
But she was 18 on May 30th, isn't it?
Yeah, May 30th. And then on July 26th, I extended jurisdiction and intertrial independence.
Judge, I feel that she was in extended foster care at that point.
She is in supervised independent living.
Yeah, so because she's in a paid placement, Judge, she would be in extended care rather than trial independence.
Well, it's an and/or. I was just reading you the title of the order. But this order is dismissing conservatorship and confirming extended jurisdiction. I wanted to make sure that we haven't had any changes since then. She's still in care and we still need to have this hearing, correct?
Yes, Judge, I believe so, under 263-6021. I believe that's the correct provision.
I just didn't get, unless I didn't see it or it didn't make it to me, I didn't get a report, so I didn't know if she had left.
I got one filed on December 8th. I got an e-file copy, Your Honor. 6th.
Yeah, I don't know, maybe I'm not finding it, but that's fine. I mean, we can move forward, but I just wanted to make sure that I wasn't missing something before we went into this hearing. All right.
Judge, you want me to send you a copy of that?
You don't need to. We can get through it.
Yes, Judge. Drake McCaskill, attorney for the department. Ms. April Harrison Bader, please.
April Harrison Bader, permanency supervisor with Belong.
Ashley Crouch, permanency supervisor with Belong.
Carol Collins, attorney ad litem for Carissa.
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you. All right, so let's talk about Carissa. She's been 18 since May. She's in extended jurisdiction. Is she still at settlement home or she moved?
She is. They have a transitional living program that she is currently part of.
Okay, and that's where she was when we were here in July. Okay.
Correct.
So all that is the same. Is that in her best interest to stay there?
Yes, yes it is.
Is it meeting all of her needs and it's safe and appropriate?
Yes.
Is it the least restrictive placement available?
Yes.
And permanency goal still independent living?
Correct.
She still have a job or is she in school full time?
She is working full time.
Is she going to school at all?
The last I checked with her, I don't believe so. I think she was maybe looking at enrolling for the spring semester. But from what she told me, she was working and volunteering in her downtime as well.
Okay. She's up to date on her medical, dental, vision?
Yes.
Any concerns with the medical, dental, or vision? Does she have any issues?
No, I don't believe so. She did report to me that she is no longer on any medications except potentially birth control from what I saw in her medical records. But she reported to me not being on any medications. Because she is 18, she is expected to handle her appointments on her own, scheduling, attending with help from a settlement home when she needs it.
Let me ask a clarifying question. She's not on any medications at this time, but is she following recommendations? Has she just made the decision to stop taking them, or was she told by her physician to get off of them?
I don't have that information because she is 18. I can only receive medical documents that she herself provides to me or signs off for me to receive. So I do not have that information.
Stan, do you know if she ever got her driver's license?
She did.
Did she wind up buying a car? We talked about that back in the summer.
So the last time that I met with her in person, she told me that her boyfriend at the time, his mother helped her get a car. However, I believe late last week or earlier this week, I received an email from her asking to help verify her income so that settlement home would allow her to buy a car. I'm no longer the assigned caseworker on the case, but I don't believe there was any response when we reached out to get clarification for that.
Okay. Well, maybe Ms. Collins knows something. Do you find that or are you aware of any barriers to achieving the permanency goals? Is she having any problems moving forward to getting to a point where she's independent?
I don't believe so. I think she's doing quite well, to be honest.
Okay. And then any other specific reasonable efforts that Belong has made?
No, just staying in communication with her. She's very good at self-advocating.
Good. Questions, Mr. McCaskill?
None, Your Honor.
Ms. Collins?
No questions, Your Honor, just a report.
Go ahead.
So I talked to Carissa a couple of days ago. She had asked for, sent her the link because she said she wanted to join the hearing so she could hear what was going on, but I don't see her here. She does work, as she says, a preschool teacher at Wonder Years now. I did talk to her about transportation. I'm like, how are you getting there to ride the bus or what? She says she borrows the car. That's what she told me. So she said, to confirm what Miss Harrison Bader said, she does have her driver's license. She's so she's working. She's not super happy, or she's not happy with transitional living. She said there are a lot of rules and regulations, and nobody tells you that. It's her exact words. But her hope is that when she turns 19 in May of next year, she can get a place on her own and have save up enough money to get her own apartment. We all know what the rents are, and is that realistic? I doubt it, but that's what she hopes. I did ask her about her family. She said her dad was doing good. I asked her if she planned to visit with him during the Christmas holidays. She said, I think so. So that's probably an indication that's still a little rocky in some respects. But she's working. She lives in her own little apartment. So she's just looking forward to getting on her own. But we all know how that is. It's not easy to pay the bills. That's about all I know. She doesn't have a car. She's borrowing. She wants to get her own apartment. She's working as a teacher at Wonder Years. She said she'd been there a little over a month. Carissa tends to be an independent thinker. She doesn't necessarily want to follow. Even if meds were recommended, I'm not sure. She probably wants to try it on her own and think about what works for her. That's been her history. So we'll just hope it works for her. There's really nothing new to report. I'm just glad, considering her background, that she stabilized, at least to some extent, in the transitional living, because I was afraid that, honestly, that she would be tempted to get out there and go home. And I think that any skills she can get, whether it's education, I don't think she's going to school, but any skills she can get to build her resume as far as her employment, that's going to help her. So I think we're doing all we can do.
All right. Thank you, Ms. Collins. And for purposes of the permanency review after final order, the court will find that Carissa is still placed in transitional living program, Travis County settlement home, and that placement is safe and appropriate, meeting her needs and in her best interest to continue. Court finds that the permanency goal of independent living is appropriate and that she's up to date on all her checkups. Court finds that she is not attending school at this time based on the information presented. However, she is working. Court finds that she has, as her own medical consultant, declined to continue taking her medications, and that there are no known barriers to achieving the permanency goal. She has her driver's license and is working on being independent and is a preschool teacher at this time. I find that Belong has made reasonable efforts by staying in touch with Carissa, and our next hearing will be June the 12th, 2024 at 10 a.m. June 12th, 2024 at 10 a.m. All other orders remain in effect. Anything I failed to address?
That's it.
No, Judge.
Okay. Well, thank you all for your time and your service on this case. I'm glad to hear she's doing well. She's been with us for a long time, going on, well, it's been 4 years almost. So I think in April it'll be 4 years. So I'm glad that she's doing well. Okay. All parties excused. Thank you. Mr. McCaskill, would you please begin the announcements?
Yes, Judge Drake McCaskill, attorney for the department. Ms. Wagner.
Amber Wagner, case Belong case manager.
Jennifer Harris, attorney ad litem for the child.
Amy Harding, Hill Country Casa supervisor, guardian ad litem for the child.
Dana Berlin, Hill Country Casa, guardian ad litem for the child.
Laura Martinez, adoption supervisor.
Shelley Troberman, attorney for the interveners and maternal grandparents, Lisa and Keith Franklin.
Lisa Franklin, maternal grandmother.
Keith Franklin, maternal grandfather.
Is there anybody that has not announced? If you haven't, please do so now.
Lakeithia Beck, foster mom.
And Your Honor, we're here only, I'm Irene Cadena. I represent Ms. Beck, but I'm only here as an observer with your permission.
Thank you, Ms. Cadena. That's fine.
Your Honor, Alexis Costin, I'm Mr. Truberman's paralegal, also just observing in the Zoom, if that's appropriate.
That's fine. Thank you for letting me know. Thank you. I apologize that we're running a little bit behind this morning. We are set today for permanency review after final order. And I understand we've got interveners Franklin, represented by Ms. Truberman. We've got Ms. Beck, who is represented by Ms. Cadena. And then we've got Ms. Harrison from the department. We're supposed to be going over this permanency review today. And I did receive earlier this week, some motions that were filed, but those have not been set for today. So I just want to clear up with everybody that this is a permanency review and make sure that if anybody else had any understanding that something else was set today to talk about that real quick. Does somebody else believe that they have something else set today?
Judge, I believe the only thing that is set for today is the permanency hearing after final.
Okay. And that was my understanding too, but I just wanted to make it clear on the record first. Okay. Then we will go forward with that.
Your Honor, I would like to note though that it appears that the department's permanency goal has changed since the status report was filed with the court. That motion to change placement was only filed on Monday. I'm not sure what the testimony will be, but if the department is looking to receive an order regarding permanency plan change, I would ask that that be held until next month. I think it goes to the meat of all the hearings or all the motions that are going to be heard next month.
So you're essentially just asking for the court to review permanency today and not make any other changes?
Correct, Your Honor.
All right. Well, let me get with Ms. Wagner and we'll go over and see where all this stuff falls down. All right. So Ms. Wagner, at this time, your report reflects Xavier is 5 and currently in a foster home in Comal County.
Yes, Judge.
This time, is that placement safe and appropriate in meeting his needs?
Yes, Judge.
And is in his best interest to remain there at this time?
Yes, sir.
Is it the least restrictive placement available at this time?
Yes, sir.
Permanency goal is alternative family, relative, fictive, kin adoption?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And he is bonded to his current caregiver?
Yes, Judge, very much so.
Okay. Have you had the chance to talk to him? I mean, I know he's 5, but has he expressed his desires to you as far as
Yes, Your Honor. Him and I see him at least twice a month and we talk about it. And he does tell me that he likes being with Kiki and he does want to stay there forever.
He's up to date on his medical, his dental, and he's in weekly therapy?
Yes, Judge.
Do you feel that the weekly therapy is appropriate?
Yes, Judge. He is currently in play therapy. And I did receive a note that he is making progress in the play therapy.
Okay. So from what you can tell, his behaviors are good. The therapy seems to be working.
Yes, Judge.
All right. Have you shared those notes with the parties?
I can send them. I believe I might have, but I will double check and make sure I did.
He's currently on ADHD meds.
Yes, Your Honor.
That review is up to date.
Yes, it was just done on the 13th of December.
Okay. And he's at a basic level of care?
Yes, Judge.
Did he ever get his clothes and possessions and things from Maryland?
I'm sorry, you cut out, Judge?
Did he ever get his clothes and possessions from Maryland?
We have not been able to get those packages. as of yet. I will get in contact with the family to see about getting them.
What happened with the reimbursement for Miss Beck?
For the,
She had medical expenses, and I had ordered back in July for Belong to look into getting some reimbursement. Do you know if there's any progress made on that?
I do not know, Judge. I am writing it down right now and I will double check on it.
Okay. Do you have any other concerns at this time?
No, Your Honor.
Asking to continue Xavier in the permanent managing conservatorship of the department.
Yes, Judge.
Any known barriers to achieving the permanency goal at this time?
Just the current filings that are in place for January.
Mr. McCaskill, questions for Ms. Wagner?
No questions for today, Judge.
I'll start with you, Ms. Trubberman, since we've got interveners in this case.
Your Honor, I don't have any questions for this witness at this time.
Okay. Ms. Cadena, you're just observing, correct?
That is correct, Your Honor.
All right. Ms. Harris?
Are there any services that Xavier is needing that have not been started?
Not to my knowledge. He is in play therapy. He is in speech therapy. He is receiving services through the FIE at school for speech. As far as I know, all of his services are being met.
And has his art and IEP been provided? His art information and IEP been provided?
I have the FIE. I'm not 100% sure. I believe I received the ARD last week or maybe early this week, but I'm not 100% certain if it was him or another child off the top of my head.
So do you feel confident that the school is meeting his needs?
Oh, definitely. Most definitely, yes.
No further questions, Judge.
Any other witnesses, Mr. McCaskill?
No, Your Honor.
Ms. Trubberman? Any other witnesses?
Sorry, no other witnesses at this setting.
Okay. Ms. Harris?
No, Your Honor, no witnesses.
What do you want to add?
I don't think there's much to add. He's doing great, Your Honor.
Okay. Casa?
I'd like to add, Your Honor, that I made a home visit 3 days ago, and I was so impressed with the improvements in his speech. His speech therapy is really helping. I could understand almost every single thing he said, and I was very happy about that. I did speak to him about his desires, and he did say he wants to live with Kiki and that she loves him and he loves her. So that's the first time I've ever asked him. And I asked him because he was very calm and we were having conversations, and he seems very happy and content. He also participated in his first kindergarten play and his first roller skating birthday party. So he's just having a good life.
Okay, anything further before I make a ruling?
Judge.
No, Judge.
And for the purposes
Your
of the
Honor, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. I had no other witnesses, but one question for the court. Since we won't be hearing the motions that are pending until January, and my clients, Mr. and Mrs. Franklin, have been doing regular video visits in which in every case he asks for in-person visits with his family. I was going to ask the court if you would be willing to consider an in-person visit between now and when we come back for those, for you to hear the motions that are currently pending.
I'll let the other parties respond before I make any decisions on that. Mr. McCaskill?
Judge, I'd have to speak to my client specifically about that request. We haven't discussed it, but given that we did file a motion to authorize placement, I don't think that we would necessarily be opposed to it.
Ms. Harris?
Your Honor, I am all for ongoing, meaningful family contact, but I think because of all the filings in this case, it would be more appropriate to, and our hearings in January are in person, I think it would be more appropriate to maybe schedule a visit at that time after the hearing.
What does Casa feel about that?
Well, I'm all for family involvement and visitations. And I agree, Ms. Harris. I think it should wait till after the hearing.
All right. For the purposes of the permanency review after final order, the court finds the permanency goal of alternative family relative victim kin adoption is in the best interest of the child. Court finds that his placement is safe and appropriate, meeting his needs, and in his best interest to continue. Court finds that it is the least restrictive placement available. And the only known barrier at this time to the permanency goal is the current litigation in this case. Court finds that Xavier is up to date on his checkups. His psychotropic review is up to date. And his weekly therapy is, as far as we can tell, appropriately addressing any concerns. So we'll continue that. I'm going to continue whatever contact has been in place at this time, but I'm going to wait to schedule an in-person visit until we have our in-person hearing. So we'll stay the course at this point in time. That'll be the order of the court, and we'll be back. What's the date of that in-person hearing? I don't have it right here in front of me.
We don't have it yet. We were going to discuss it after today's hearing.
And Your Honor, I don't know if it might be appropriate. I would love to try a mediation, and with specific orders that both the Franklins and their representation and Ms. Beck and her representation are included in the mediation, to see if we can't solve some of this before a full day of hearings.
Okay.
Your Honor, I was just going to make a comment that in the interest of time saving, I know what Ms. Harris's goal is with that, and I want to be very clear that my clients are never going, in the court will order what the court will order, but we're never going to agree to something different than what we are asking for. So I think having a mediation, knowing how the parties feel about it is ultimately a waste of time. And at this stage, we're hoping that these will be heard early in January, so everyone has time to, so decisions can be made and the ball can be, moving in a direction next month.
Okay. Well, based on what I know about the case and the filings I've seen, while I always agree that alternative dispute resolution is a valuable tool when I'm faced with essentially ordering a mediation that is a known impasse at this point, with these hearings coming up, I'm probably going to decline to make that mediation order at this time. You all can certainly try to work things out informally. I am going to order the parties to provide their dates of unavailability for the first part of January, the first half of January. So anytime that you're absolutely not available, let Ms. Greenlee know today. And then we're going to get a date set as early in January as we can. And I'm going to try to accommodate everybody, but we're going to do what we can. So if you have something that is major, you're going to be out of the country, someone's having a baby, whatever the situation is, I need to know about that so that we can set a date. So provide your availability to Ms. Greenlee today, please. All right, that'll be the order of the court. Nothing further. Thank you all for your time and your service, and all parties are excused.
Thank you, Judge.
Thank you. With that, then, Mr. McKeska, would you please begin the announcements?
Yes, Judge Drake McKeska, attorney for the department. Ms. Turner, would you please on your camera and announce?
Stacy Turner, investigator for the department.
Jimmy Dresden Mitchell, investigation supervisor.
Taylor Gonzalez, family-based caseworker.
Cecilia Howard on behalf of the father, Oscar Lara. Could you please unmute and announce?
Oscar Lara.
And Lucinda Mance for the children.
We're here today for a court-ordered services case. This is a Texas Families First case. Correct, Mr. McKeska?
That's correct, Judge.
All right. Do the parties have an agreement, or do we need to have a hearing?
No, Judge, we're in agreement.
Okay. All right, then. Let's go ahead and step forth the terms and conditions of that agreement.
Thank you, Judge. So, Judge, as part of this agreement, Mr. Lara has agreed to complete the following services. First and foremost, he's going to participate and complete the Parents as Teachers programs through SJRC Texas. He's going to complete a psychological evaluation and follow any and all recommendations from that recommendation. Engage in individual counseling. Continue to engage with his current mental health provider and continue his medication management. Complete random drug testing for the department, and also to submit to a drug and alcohol assessment and follow any recommendations from that assessment. As far as the children are concerned, Mr. Lahr is also going to follow up with an ECI evaluation for Clara, and then follow through with any recommendations. It's for both children, and then follow through for any recommendations for services for the kids based off of the ECI evaluation. Judge, in addition to the agreement with regard to services, I also need to call Ms. Turner to testify to clarify some statements that were in the affidavit.
All right, you may do so.
Thank you, Judge.
Your Honor, I do have one exception to the agreed services. My client is not agreeing to do family or counseling unless it is recommended by the psychological.
Do the questions that you're asking Mr. McKeska have anything to do with what Ms. Hellrug is accepting to?
No, Judge, I apologize. I was reading directly from the family plan that was signed or that was filed yesterday and signed by the father on the 18th.
Okay, we'll work that out in a minute. We'll work that out in a minute. Go ahead and ask your questions, please.
Okay. Ms. Turner, can you please state your name for the record?
Stacy Turner.
And how are you currently employed?
I'm an investigator for this, for the state of Texas.
Okay. Were you the investigator that was assigned to this case?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And since filing your affidavit for this case, have you reviewed it with Mr. Lahr?
Yes, sir.
And after reviewing it with Mr. Lahr, have there been a few clarifications that you need to make today?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and what are those clarifications?
Well, the two that he brought up, one of them was that I put in, he discontinued his medication because he didn't like the way it made him feel. It was actually Dr. Franklin, the doctor that he saw, discontinued it and changed it.
Okay, so rather than discontinuing his mental health medications, he changed medications. Is that correct?
Under a doctor's orders, yes, not himself. Yes.
Okay. Is it your understanding that he continues to take those medications?
Yes.
Okay. And then was there another issue that needed to be clarified?
Well, he had initially said that I'd put in the affidavit that he smoked marijuana in the home. And after reading it, I put that Mr. Lahr is admitted to using marijuana daily at his residence, not in his residence. So the affidavit is correct at that, because he did admit to using marijuana just outside, not inside.
Okay, so the clarification of that point then is that the marijuana use happens outside of the physical structure of the home.
Yes, sir.
But on the same property.
Yes, sir.
All right. Pass witness, Judge.
Your Honor, if I may, Ms. Turner, you developed the service plan for Mr. Lahr, correct?
No, ma'am.
Do you know who did?
I believe Taylor.
Okay.
Gonzalez, yes.
No further questions. I will just call Ms. Gonzalez.
Ms. Mance?
No questions.
All right. Any other witnesses, Mr. McKeska?
No, Judge.
Go ahead, Ms. Hellrug.
When did you meet with Mr. Lahr regarding the service plan?
I met with him on Monday, December 18th.
Okay, and this is after you had already filed suit, correct?
Correct.
Did you consult with him or with me regarding that service plan?
No.
Did you advise him that if he had any issues with the service plan, he needed to speak to me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Were you aware that he had issues with direct counseling, as opposed to just doing this, psychological and following the recommendations?
He told me he felt like he did not need counseling. Yes.
Okay. Nothing further, Your Honor.
Any cross?
No, Your Honor.
Ms. Gonzalez, in preparation or completing the family plan of service, did you complete the family strengths and needs assessment?
Yes.
And you completed that with Mr. Laura?
Correct.
Okay, and based off of that structured decision-making tool, did it recommend individual counseling?
Yes.
Okay, and is that why you included it in his family plan?
Yes, sir.
Are you willing to agree today to leave off the individual counseling unless recommended by the psychological evaluation?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Judge consent that we have that Ms. Gonzalez is in agreement to that. We'll amend the request and leave the family or the individual counseling off.
All right.
Thank you, Your Honor. I have nothing further.
Okay, then the agreement that is on the record so far is only altered by the fact that the individual counseling is only going to occur if recommended. Ms. Mance, is there anything that you want to add as far as this case is concerned at this time?
Just briefly, Judge, I visited with children and the dad and the paternal uncle at the paternal aunt and uncle's home last night. They seemed like wonderful people. The uncle, the father, dad seemed super willing to work services. And so I have no concerns with the agreement. And I think this family is well on their way to getting the issues resolved.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Lotta, you heard the agreement that Mr. McKeska stated on the record?
Yes, sir.
You had a chance to discuss that with your attorney?
Yes, sir.
And you understand what's expected of you?
Yes, sir, I do.
Did you enter into the agreement voluntarily?
Yes, I did.
Were you forced in any way or made any promises or guarantees to get you to agree to it?
No, sir.
Are you asking the court to adopt and approve the agreement today?
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you. And Ms. Turner, so your testimony today that it's necessary for the court to order these services to alleviate the effects of abuse or neglect that has occurred,
Yes, sir.
and to order it to reduce the continuing danger to the physical health or safety of the child caused by an act or failure to act of the parent,
Yes, sir.
and to reduce the substantial risk of abuse or neglect caused by an act or failure to act of the parent.
Yes, sir.
All right. So you're understanding that the children in this case would be candidates for foster care?
Yes, sir.
All right. And you're asking the court to adopt and approve this plan to avoid that and to address the concerns that we just discussed with these services?
Yes, sir.
All right. The court will find there's sufficient evidence to satisfy a person of ordinary prudence and caution that abuse or neglect occurred, or there's a substantial risk of abuse or neglect or continuing danger to the child's physical health or safety caused by an act or failure to act of the parent. Family preservation services are necessary to ensure the child's physical health or safety, and family preservation services are appropriate based on the child's safety risk assessment and the child's family assessment. The court's order shall include specific services narrowly tailored to address the factors that make a child a candidate for foster care. And that includes the agreement of the parties for the father to participate in the Parents as Teachers program, to submit to a psychological evaluation and follow any such recommendations, including individual counseling if recommended, to continue with his current mental health provider, to continue his medication management, random drug testing, submit to a drug and alcohol assessment, and follow any recommendations, and follow the ECI evaluations for both of the children and follow any recommendations there. It'll be the order of the court. The compliance hearing is set for March the 6th, 2024 at 2 p.m. It's March 6th, 2024 at 2 p.m. Lotta, I want to make sure you understand that this is a very, very less intrusive way of getting you services than the next step in these cases, and then the step after that. Those are very, very invasive, restrictive cases that will make this much more difficult than the opportunity you've been provided right here today. You have the choice to voluntarily work these services, address the concerns, and then eventually have the case removed from the court. Okay. If you don't take advantage of this and you don't follow these orders, then the department has the ability to file a conservatorship case, which is much more invasive, as I'm saying, and much more restrictive. So I strongly encourage you to take advantage of this opportunity and avoid any further restrictions on you and your children if possible. Okay, does that make sense?
Yes, sir. Shouldn't be a problem.
Okay, well then we'll see you back on March the 6th and see how much progress you've made, and good luck to you, Mr. McCusker. Anything I failed to address?
No, just briefly, you covered it all.
Okay. All right, well, if nothing further, thank you all for your time and your service, and all parties are excused.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Judge.
Thank you, Judge.
Thank you.
Welcome.